Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Last time we spoke about the power of questions. And if we consider questions to be like a boat, then let's just say the boat carried us this far. And now we've reached the beach. You see, a question is like a boat, it gets you across the stillness. But an answer is what you do when you land. Some people think the answer is the end. They see an answer like a conclusion, like a prize, but it's not. Because an answer is not the end of thinking, it's the beginning of responsibility. Yes, I said responsibility. And today we will explore why through examples showing the power of answers. See, we grew up chasing the right answer like it's a finish line. We're taught that once you get it, you win. You pass the test, you graduate, you get the job, and you get the life. But that's not how it works. Because in the real world, the right answer is often ignored. And the wrong answers, well, they are said with confidence and a straight face. They're embedded into systems and enforced. So, what exactly is an answer? An answer is not just a statement, it's a reflection of who you are, your beliefs, your courage, your fears. Your answer reveals what you're protecting and what you're afraid to confront. An answer carries weight, it has consequences because an answer becomes a mirror, not just for you, but for the world you're a part of. So when we say answers have power, that's not a metaphor, it's a warning. Because throughout human history, you'll find that most people don't answer from within themselves. They answer from memory, from culture, from fear, from what's been passed down from generations, not what's been felt through. It's like being handed a script at birth that says, this is what you are, this is what success looks like, this is what God wants, this is how your life should go. But those aren't your answers. They're someone else's from a time when no one even knew what a tomato, lime, or lemon really is, where it came from, or what it was even used for. And the longer we carry them, the heavier they become. Would you believe that some of the most harmful things ever done to Earth were done with answers that were never questioned? Answers like, that's just the way it is. We've always done it this way. It's tradition. It's policy. Those phrases have killed curiosity and buried innovation. And in many cases, they've delayed solutions and ended people's lives. Because answers can also become weapons when they are used to gatekeep, silence, and justify violence. But what about healing? Well, answers can also heal because when they are understood, they reveal, uplift, and protect. But it all depends on who's holding the mic and why. Think about it. What if we treated answers like waves, not as final, fixed declarations, but as movements, as rhythms, as visitors from somewhere deeper? Waves don't ask for permission. They rise, crash, recede, return, always reshaping the shore. Some arrive soft and soothing, others come loud, crashing, full force. And if we're not paying attention, if we're too busy filming the moment, or too frozen in wonder or fear, we might miss the message or ignore the warning. Because some waves whisper, I'm here to cool you. to teach you. But some waves, they scream, move now. That's how answers move too. They can open your heart, or they can demand that you run. Some answers are safe to swim in, but others, they will drag you under if you're not grounded. And here's the thing most people don't prepare. They treat answers like trivia, not tides. They want to stand still while everything shifts or falls apart around them. But truth doesn't wait for your comfort. The wave doesn't pause to ask if you can swim, and neither do answers. So maybe the real power of an answer isn't in how certain it feels, but in how much of it moves you and whether you're listening when it arrives. A wise person knows an answer is only as good as the question it came from, combined with the courage it took to tell the truth. Some of the most powerful answers in history came quietly. Answers like, I am not property. I deserve to read. This is my land. No, I am not afraid. And sometimes the most revolutionary answer is silence. Not because there's nothing to say, but because the space is sacred. But let's be honest, not all silence is sacred. Some cults, systems, or abusers weaponize silence. And they do this as a form of control, erasure, or punishment. Because they withhold answers not to protect, but to dominate, to make you doubt your instincts, to keep power unchallenged. So it's good to learn the difference between silence that holds space and silence that holds you hostage. Because true silence opens, while false silence shuts you down. And here's what people need to remember: answers are not universal, because what's right in one society is wrong in another. What's success in one system is failure in another. So, if you don't define your answers, someone else mercilessly will. They'll sell you what to want. They'll train you how to think. And they'll shame you for not fitting inside a frame they never meant for you to grow in. So, what is the power of an answer? Well, the power of an answer is not in how fast you give it, it's in how true it is to you. Because here's the real question: what if the answer you've been looking for has been living inside of you this whole time? What if the pause you're afraid to take is the moment your soul finally gets a word in? In today's dopamine flooded world, what if the reason you're tired isn't because you're lost, but because you've been carrying too many answers that don't belong to you? So the next time someone asks you something, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this answer mine or was it handed to me? And if it was handed to me, why was it? Because when you finally give your answer, not the safe one or the expected one, and definitely not the memorized one, that's when the real transformation begins. In episode 1 of the Light Up podcast series, Grapes Galore, I shared the story about how grapes shaped politics, privilege, language, and even religious rituals. But beyond sweetness or wine, grapes held answers about how empires formed and why some crops became sacred while others were silenced. In episode 2, The Tomato Chronicles, we go deeper. Today, everyone eats tomatoes or a product of them. But did you know that tomatoes were once feared, poisonous, or grown as garden ornaments and not food? The answer didn't come quickly because for nearly 200 years, tomatoes were feared and truly thought to be poison. But it wasn't the fruit that was deadly, it was the ignorance around it. And that delay, it shaped the course of culinary history. Sometimes answers are life saving, but only if they're trusted. Check out the story, you'd be surprised. And in episode 3, The Lime and Lemon Legacy, I told the story of sailors, scurvy, and the simple citrus answer we now use as common fruits that could have saved millions. If only the systems had listened. Because for years, the answer existed, but that answer wasn't taken seriously, and that delay meant death. Because this is what happens when answers are ignored, lost, or buried beneath ego or pride. All of these episodes are not just about fruit, they're about fear, power, survival, and triumph. They are also about the cost of ignoring the answers that life, nature, and even the smallest questions bring. So, if any part of this message today spoke to you, go back and listen to the stories. Because answers are not always given, they are sometimes fought for, feared, or forgotten. So, travel back in time, hear the sounds of history, and feel the path it took us to get here. Just like most people, I used to think an answer was just a fact, something final, a period at the end of the sentence. But then over time, I started watching how answers behave. They show up in whispers, in silence, in timing. Sometimes they arrive too early, sometimes too late, and sometimes never at all. Answers are not just information, they are energy, presence, timing, and they are responsibility. Let me show you what I mean. We'll start with the form of the answer. Think of parables, like in the Bible. Notice how Jesus rarely answered questions directly. He often told stories instead, because a story meets the listener where they are. It invites reflection, not just consumption. And in a society where most people at the time were farmers or laborers who were denied access to education and forbidden to read or learn, he didn't give them information. He gave them something deeper because his answers didn't hand out fruit, they planted seeds. And when we look at how silence is received as an answer, well, in Zen Buddhism, a student may ask a question and receive no reply, only presence. Because some answers aren't spoken, they're felt. Some answers live in the space between words. They unfold in stillness where language can't reach, but truth still exists. Socrates responded to questions with more questions. Because sometimes the truest answer is the one you discover yourself. And when we look at answers that became mirrors, well, in some cultures, you don't ask, what is love? You live it. You show it in how you treat others. When we look at answers that simply breathe, we see that ancient prophets often spoke words that didn't make sense until centuries later. It's as if the answer was planted in time like a fruit tree. They knew it will feed someone, even if it's not you. And when a child asks, what is death? A harsh answer could shatter something sacred. So we speak in metaphor. We soften the truth with story, gentleness, and timing to protect the receiver's readiness. Some answers arrive after the damage is done. Regret lives here. Even that is an answer, though a late one. But still, it's an opening. Some people don't ask, they interrogate. They say things like, "Tell me now, explain yourself, give me a reason." But answers are not weapons, and they're not performances. Because some truths wither under pressure, especially when the person isn't listening, but they're dominating. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every answer must be given. Answers don't just inform, they transform. They carry energy. A gentle answer can heal. A sharp answer can cut. A vague answer can confuse. A withheld answer can suffocate. An honest answer can free or even frighten. A calm answer is a balm, while a cruel or harsh answer is a bruise. The Oracle of Delphi gave answers in riddles because, in the wrong hands, answers are dangerous. Know thyself was the most powerful answer and the most ignored. Lao Tzu gave answers that flowed like water. Truth wasn't always beautiful, but it was honest. Elders in some communities don't give direct answers. They will tell you what the land taught them. It's not about control, it's about communion. Because sometimes answers are withheld, not out of cruelty, but out of wisdom. To protect the one asking, to preserve the mystery, to let the person live into the answer. However, an answer is not always a sentence. Sometimes it's a life. And not all answers should be shared. If someone says, "I don't want to know," or "I'm not ready," do we still tell them? If someone isn't ready, do we force them? If an answer might cause harm, do we speak it or steward it with care until the time is right? Discernment is the real test of wisdom, because an answer is not a conclusion. It's sort of like a companion, because an answer walks beside you. It changes shape as you grow. An answer can surprise you, hold you, save you, heal you, betray you, or invite you into a higher truth. It's not just something you give. An answer is something you carry, something you protect, something you steward, and sometimes something you release. Like the tide, the same answer may feel different depending on when it meets you. So consider the next time you hold an answer. Ask it, "Are you ready to be heard?" Then ask yourself, "Am I ready to receive it?" If yes, may you walk together. My content is created independently because, just like the tide, answers rise, return, and sometimes they wait for you to be ready. See you next time.